Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, and Troop. Councilmember Brzezinski is absent.
We'll be moving into our silent meditation pledge. It's in two different. I got myself confused. Yes, that is what we were doing. So we'll go ahead and stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dr. Titus, I would like to give my sympathies from our council and deepest sympathy on the passing of Dale Peelman, who worked as a city employee in the maintenance supervising for 36 years in the Department of Public Works and Parks. And his beautiful wife, Sarah, is his spouse. My deepest, our sympathy to the Peelman family. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from the 1/21/26 City Council meeting and bills for payment on February 6th and 13th. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus.
Do we have, we do not have a presentation this morning, correct? Okay. So we have no presentation this morning. We are, from this point, we'll go into the request for repository sales. Before we get there, though, I just want to remind everybody that we do have a public hearing at 9:30. So wherever we are, even if we are in that public comment part, we will have to pause so that we can do the public hearing as advertised, and then we can resume back into the public comment. So at this point, is there anyone here to speak on a repository sale? Is there anyone here to speak on a repository sale?
I didn't.
Is there anyone here to speak on a repository sale? Seeing none, this will move us into public comment. I would ask that when you come up, that you state your name clearly for the record, the municipality, know that you will have 5 minutes, and that this is an opportunity again for public to share and for council to listen.
My name is Freda Tepfer, and I live in Erie, and I'm glad you're having the caucus here, but please make sure that you speak into the mic so that we can actually hear what you're saying. So during the wintertime, I focus my concerns on pedestrian access outside of the residential areas. There's too much to worry about to focus on what residences do. But I'm always horrified by what I see when businesses pay somebody to clear their parking lot and then they leave a huge berm across the sidewalk. I got a message from Public Works through Moss that one of the ones I reported, that they're going to require them to move the pile. I hope that happens right away. These are repeat offenders. Maybe the fact that the plow person got involved with the discussion with Public Works means that they get the message not just in that one location, but if somebody can pay somebody to plow their parking lot, they've got no business leaving the sidewalk unclear. Blocked with a pile often 10 feet high, but certainly they should also get their sidewalk cleared. I was driving west on West 26th Street around 5 o'clock the other day when it was hard enough to see with the sun in my eyes, And there, when I was along where the Tops used to be, where the Crunch Fitness is on the north side of West 26th Street, I suddenly saw a woman walking in the street, and I'm really glad I didn't hit her. But she shouldn't have been walking in the street. That sidewalk should have been cleared. I saw yesterday there was a tiny path cleared. I don't know if it was actually cleared or trodden down. But there is some kind of a membership sidewalk clearing device for downtown businesses. We need something for the other commercial areas. Or there should be. The other part I'm really upset about is that we put ARP money into a quality of life program to go out and inspect residences for whether their grass is over 10 inches or they might have peeling paint or something. But there's not enough money in Public Works to respond to the many complaints about snow issues and sidewalk issues. And I had somebody come and enforce on me for tall grass, and I'd already mowed it, and I have a feeling it was some grudge that somebody called it in. But really, this is a bigger problem, that our commercial areas, our school areas, our nonprofit areas, our church areas, that people block the sidewalk after they clear their parking lots. That these businesses don't have enough consideration of the people of this city to clear sidewalks, that corners are blocked, that access to pedestrian push buttons is blocked. There needs to be a serious attempt at making sidewalks usable in the city and not just say it's too much snow, we couldn't do it. They do it in other cities. In Anchorage, they designate areas to put the snow. I just can't believe that people don't have a place to walk, and they're walking in the street, and they're walking in the street in the dark with dark clothes on, and it's not their fault, and we don't want to kill people. I briefly looked at the transition report, and I saw something about snow removal, but I didn't see any more equating the need to deal with this snow issue as serious as the quality of life issue that we're harassing residents over. I also urge the city to be sure that they're doing nothing with any enforcement activities to support any questionable activities by the federal government and ICE to harass our new Americans, our most precious, our most productive, in some ways, citizens. Thank you.
Any other resident that would like to be heard? Any other resident that would like to be heard? Any other resident that would like to be heard? We can start into the ordinance for final passage, just being mindful of the time for the public hearing.
Ordinances for final passage, Council File Number 16583, Official Ordinance 4, 2026, an ordinance amending Article 1501, 1503.21, 1503.27 of the UCC ordinance adopting the 2021 UCC in Chapter 11 and Appendix B of the 2021 International Building Code for new construction, along with the accessibility provisions contained in the 2021 existing International Building Code, IEBC, the 2021 International Plumbing Code, the IPC, and the 2021 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, the ISPSC, as adopted by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on January 1st, 2026. Sponsored by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance 16583, and now known as Official File Ordinance 4, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, Titus. City Council passed official file ordinance 4, 2026, finally by yea 6, nay 0. Council file number 16584, ordinance 5, 2026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Erie, the city determining to incur lease rental debt evidenced by the guaranteed revenue bond in the maximum principal amount of $370,884 to be authorized and issued by Erie City Water Authority in connection with the construction, alteration, and improvements to the public water distribution facilities in and about this city, including but not limited to the customer side galvanized service line replacement project, Phase 4, and paying related costs, fees, and expenses, specifying the realistic useful life of the project, authorizing and directing appropriate officers of the city to take certain actions and to execute certain documents, including a guarantee agreement between the city as guarantor and the Erie City Water Authority and the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority, approving the form, maximum guaranteed amounts, and sources of payment of the guarantee agreement, creating a sinking fund in connection with such guarantee obligations, and appointing a sinking fund depository, and providing for the repeal of all inconsistent ordinances or parts of ordinances. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance 16584, and now known as Official File Ordinance 5, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 5, 2026 by yea 6, nay 0. Council File Number 16585, Official Ordinance 6, 2026, an ordinance amending the rules of council, ordinance of the City of Erie, specifically 112.01, to improve the efficiency in the legislative process for City Council. Sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16585, and now known as Official File Ordinance 6, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 6, 2026, finally by yea 6, nay 0. Council File Number 16586, Official Ordinance 7, 2026, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $140,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to be received from the Business Development Revolving Loan Fund for utilization in the flagship Commodore Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Titus. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16586, and now known as Official File Ordinance 7, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 7, 2026, finally by yea 6, nay 0. Council File Number 16587, Official Ordinance 8, 2026, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $25,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue received from Erie's Manufacturing for the expenditure thereof for the Police Capital Improvement Fund projects. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance 16587, and now known as Official File Ordinance 8, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 8, 2026, finally by yea 6, nay 0. Council File Number 16588, Official Ordinance 9, 2026, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $15,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. The contribution is from the Mercy Terrace Apartments for the purchase of police, fire, and winter maintenance equipment. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance 16588, and now known as Official File Ordinance 9, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 9, 2026 by yea 6, nay 0. Council File Number 16589, Official Ordinance 10, 2026, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $389,218.37 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof, the Police Capital Improvement Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop, the Council File Ordinance 16589, and now known as Official File Ordinance 10, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 10, 2026, finally by yea 6, nay 0. Council File Number 16590, Official Ordinance 11, 2026, an ordinance to repeal Ordinance Number 58, 2025, passed and approved by City Council on August 20th, 2025. Sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Number 16590, and now known as Official File Ordinance 11, 2026, be finally passed by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 11, 2026, finally by yea 6, nay 0. Now ordinances for first reading. Council File Number 16591, an ordinance amending the City of Erie zoning ordinance to designate the property located at 411 State as historic structures pursuant to Article 7 of the City of Erie zoning ordinance and to amend the zoning map to reflect such designation. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Flores, the Council File Ordinance 16591 having been read is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council pass official, read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16591 by yea 6, nay 0 on first reading. Let's go to Tyler, the other one, not this. Council File Number 16592, an ordinance amending the City of Erie zoning ordinance to designate the property located at 1372 West 6th Street, Erie, Pennsylvania, as historic structures pursuant to Article 7 of the City of Erie zoning ordinance and to amend the zoning map to reflect such designation. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Flores, the Council File Ordinance 16592, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16592 by yea 6, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16593, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $1,250,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof for the City of Erie wastewater treatment plant chlorination disinfection reliability project to be funded by U.S. EPA grant number 953A0104. Sponsored by Councilmember Troop, seconded by Councilmember Horton. The Council File Ordinance 16593, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16593 by yea 6, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16594, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $1,050,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue to be received from the Business Development Revolving Loan Fund and utilized in the Urban Core Economic Recovery Revolving Loan Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Pohl, that City Council File ordinance 16594, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, he's absent, Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16594 by yeas 6, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Ordinance 16595, an ordinance amending the rules of council, ordinance of the City of Erie, Article 112, specifically 112.02, to improve the efficiency in the legislative process for Erie City Council.
Lori, I'd like to make a comment on this one.
Okay?
We saw, so just for a little bit of a clarification for the public on this one, we saw this one just come through under a second reading with almost the exact same verbiage. So the first one was moving our times that we will start our our caucus on the meeting evenings, so that we will start our caucus at 5:30. The council meetings will still, the public meeting will still begin at 6:30, but this will allow for us to be and get more information and hopefully reduce the amount of study sessions so that we're together for an hour in caucus in the space that we had seen out here. And then what we're seeing right here for this first reading is so that we are always making sure that wherever we are having our meetings, especially caucus, that is in an accessible space, and that we are ADA compliant. This is codifying a practice that we already had, but making sure that it's codified within our rules. And so that is what this one is about specifically under the first reading. Thank you.
Sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance 16595, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16595 by yeas 6, nays 0 on first reading. We have about 2 minutes.
Think you can read the old business, or you want to hold?
Old business is the public hearing, so
Okay,
I'm going to give everybody stuff to sign.
okay.
Yeah, that one's final. So they'll go to Tyler.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think you just signed it, yeah.
I could read new business, I have a minute and a half. We're going to stop the regular meeting now and go into a public hearing. We have about a minute. I'm going to read the resolution, and then anyone that wishes to offer testimony can please stand, raise your right hand, and the court reporter will swear you in. But we're not there yet. Guess I read too fast.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Here we go. A resolution sponsored by Councilmember Troop, seconded by Andre Horton, that the recommendation from the Planning Commission pursuant to Official Ordinance 80-2005, known and cited as the revised zoning ordinance of the City of Erie, will hold a public hearing today at 9:30 to consider testimony regarding a request to designate the Erie Cemetery located at 2116 Chestnut Street as a historic site. So anybody that's going to offer testimony, if you could stand and raise your right hand.
I do.
members of council. My name is Matthew Falcone. I'm the city's historic preservation planner. Late last year, we received a nomination from the Erie Cemetery Association to consider Erie Cemetery as a historic site. It is located at 2116 Chestnut Street. To give you a sense of location, there's a city map with the cemetery marked with the orange marker. Next slide. It sits within the heart of our Little Italy neighborhood. Next slide. More. There we go. The site is quite large. You see here it's bounded in red. All of those different markers are part of the nomination process. They tie into a photograph that went into the nomination. Next slide. So here we are in the process. To date, it has been considered before the Historic Review Commission and the Planning Commission, and we are here for public hearing before we get to the ordinance. Next slide. So the finding of the Historic Review Commission at their meeting on December the 1st was that the Erie Cemetery should be listed on the City of Erie's Register of Historic Places because it conveys significance through criteria B, C, and F, and maintains sufficient historic integrity to convey its significance. So to give you a brief overview of what criteria B, C, and F are, criteria B is because the cemetery is associated with Emma Hay. Emma Hay is quite possibly the first woman to serve as a superintendent of a major American cemetery. Criteria C is because of the design of the cemetery itself. It is an excellent representation of the rural cemetery movement, which is very popular in the 19th century. It synthesized what we would consider park elements in a return to nature and integrated them with our burials. And then finally, F criteria is that it is a prominent visual feature within the city of Erie and also within the Little Italy neighborhood. I know it's kind of difficult to contextualize how large of a site this is, but the cemetery itself would stretch from where we are nearly to the bayfront. So it's a very large part of our city. Next slide, please. At the Planning Commission meeting on December 16th, the Planning Commission was able to review how this designation ties into all the different city and neighborhood plans. They recommended that the Erie Cemetery be listed in the city's Register of Historic Places because it is a reflection of the community's plan and the comprehensive plan we have for the city. Next slide. There we are. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I do know that we also have members of the Cemetery Association who I believe would wish to speak.
Any questions from any members of council? I think it was pretty straightforward. Well done.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Becky Weiser, and I work for the Erie Cemetery Association. And I, along with our director, David Rinderly, who's in the audience, would seek your approval to have Erie Cemetery as a historic site in the city. Not only are we a who's who of Erie deceased, we have roughly 55,000 people buried with us, and this year we're celebrating 175 years of being a presence in the community. To honor that time, we've created a variety of events to engage the community into that space. We have preservation programs in place. For example, for the Scott Mausoleum, our foundation worked on the exterior of fixing that space so it doesn't go into disrepair. We have a group of volunteers that is quite large that are assisting us with various projects at the cemetery. For example, we have an Adopt an Urn or Cradle Grave program where members of the community come and plant flowers in abandoned flower urns throughout. We've had over 100 people participate in that. So as a historic space, as you can well imagine, we're almost full. So if you want space, call me. We have very little space left for active burials currently, but Laurel Hill and Wintergreen Gorge cemeteries do have space. But Erie Cemetery is something that we love. We encourage folks to walk through, to partake of the beauty, to participate in our programming, and to participate in the preservation efforts. And being a historic spot in the city of Erie will allow us hopefully to apply for some grants to further our efforts in maintaining this beautiful space. As you can imagine, it costs a lot of money to mow about 75 acres and then to pick up all those leaves because we are a registered arboretum as well. And our goal is to maintain that space, to increase the beautification, and so that it lasts in perpetuity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from anyone on council?
Dr. Titus, thank you for the opportunity. I'd first like to preface my remarks by lauding the work that you and the people at the Erie Cemetery. It seems like you have a strong volunteer base to do some things. And while I do support this designation, I'm new here, so pardon my ignorance if I say something off sort. I understand the thing that I jump out at, because I come from the county, and grants is kind of like, it just jumps out at your head. Everybody wants a grant. And I know that this designation will allow you to apply for some of those things, but I know there's a cemetery on the east side that they were having a problem cutting grass, and just the fact that you would say, oh, that's a lot of grass to cut, and you seek a grant to cut the grass, that kind of like the question begs to be asked, It's like, how do you pay for cutting the grass now? And why should that be something that should be granted? And do other cemeteries have that, whether they're designated or not? Why would that put you in a space where others would not be allowed? It would be my first, and then the next would be, if he's beyond cutting the grass, what type of grant would a cemetery need? Is it to clean headstones or to preserve that type of thing? And so then, and again, pardon my ignorance, because I don't know, but I came over here to kind of serve the living, and I'm looking for grants for living people, quality of life for living people. And so, while I'm very, very, supportive of it, those are the type of things that just jump out to someone. It ain't costing me a dime or anything like that, and anything that will preserve our neighborhood and certainly our history, the totality of it all, not just certain areas of our history, but the totality of it all, I'm in support of. So if you can, certainly, please. I'm sorry, Dr. Titus, that would be
That's
your
what the hearing is
job
for.
to tell them to come up or not.
Thank you. You bring up excellent questions. The grants would not be for maintaining the grass or the leaves. We do that. And fortunately, because we are an association of 3 cemeteries, all 3 cemeteries work together in the basic maintenance of our space. But to answer your question, we have, for example, the Scott Mausoleum at Erie Cemetery. It is the largest private mausoleum in Erie County. Unfortunately, when the Scott family passed, they left very little money for the continued maintenance of that building. And there are no family members alive to maintain that building. So now that falls upon the cemetery to do that, or we lose it, it crumbles. So we've had some fundraising efforts to maintain that building. Well, currently on Facebook, I have a series called Mausoleum Monday. We have 27 mausoleums in Erie Cemetery, most of which have family members who are either not in Erie County any longer or are all gone. So we have these beautiful structures, architecturally beautiful, with symbolism and different aspects to them, with people inside, that now it falls upon the cemetery to maintain. So that's why we're historic not only for the 55,000 people, but for the buildings that we have. We have 3 buildings of Medina sandstone on our property, all built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Again, over time, these take care. We don't want to have to destroy that space to create new buildings. We'll lose part of our culture here in Erie. So there's many aspects to the historic. Again, Matthew had brought up about Mrs. Hay. I was in touch with my colleagues with the American Alliance of Historic Cemeteries, and I threw it out to the community saying, okay, how many of you have had a woman superintendent? And they have, since 2016, since 2008. But now we have someone from 1892. And again, we have Strong Vincent with us, Daniel Dobbins, Harry Burley. We have names upon names of people. And then we have just ordinary folks, people that lived a good life in our community. And those stories we want to maintain. So it's historic on so many different levels. And I understand, the concern of the finances with City Council and potentially giving us some grants, but it's not for the day-to-day maintenance. That we do on our own. Any further questions? Those were good.
Sure, because I'm just a load of questions. I'm like a second grader. I'm new.
Lovely.
And so, and certainly I have walked through the cemetery. And a few years ago, I was looking for the coyote who was out there. I was like, there's a coyote over here and stuff. Yeah. But certainly, any questions that I would have would be to sustainability, and I wouldn't bore or take up my colleagues' time with that. But if you have a number, because I'd like to hear more about Mausoleum Mondays. I know that there is history that most definitely should be preserved. I'm a Strong Vincent colonel when he was still a colonel, not a general, and stuff. And so I've had occasion to visit over there.
Wonderful.
So is there a number where I could contact, or you can leave it with our clerk so you don't have to put it out here in public domain?
Well, I can give you the office number.
That's fine.
Which is 814-459-2463. And then you can just say you want Erie Cemetery and ask for Becky. And I'd be happy to answer more questions.
So Becky, lastly, because I am such a interested person, my interest is in youth and children. And I think that history not really for old people, although we have it. I think it's to tell the story of us. And is there an opportunity to bring children there or young kids there for a tour? Or
Absolutely.
To talk about that thing? Because it's no good just having history if nobody's reading it or if it's not reaching anyone.
Right.
And so I'd like to talk to you offline about
Oh,
those
that'd be
things.
perfect. We do offer a variety of tours. Our most famous tours are the Ghost and Legends, come around October. It's the hottest ticket in town. Why, I'm not sure, because that's a mixture of history and some of the stories. But we offer a variety of tours, not only the notable people, unusual deaths, people that died in ways that people don't anymore, thank goodness. And actually, Matthew had showed a picture of a circle, and it was marked out in graves, and that is our infamous witches' circle. Are they witches? No. But we're going to have a tour of the people that are actually in that section. And I've been in touch with the Erie City School District. Some of them participated in our Adopt and Earn program last year. These were special needs students. We have a group from Erie Home for Children and Adults that help us with some of our landscaping projects as much as they're able, like picking up branches. I mean, we have very old trees in the cemetery, as you can imagine, so they would pick up sticks and move it to the side of the road for our crew. Yeah.
Would you happen to know offhand who your most famous African-American or Black American city resident is in there?
Well, I would say it would be Harry Burley.
Harry T. Burley?
Harry T.
Absolutely.
Burley. And we have requests that people specifically want to see his grave, and I can walk you right to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been there. He belonged to St. James African American Episcopal Church, where my family attends, which is the oldest African American congregation in the city or the area.
Great.
And so, but thank you so much for
You're
engaging
welcome.
with me,
Oh
and I
my
will
gosh.
reach out to you.
Well, we would love to include the city as well as the Sisters of St. Joseph and Little Italy. And we are participating with the sisters a bit. They have a tulip planting initiative, and we planted 500 tulips, reminiscent almost of the large, I don't know if you're aware, but in our sunken garden years and years ago, we had 40, 50,000 tulips planted in that space. Well, we don't have as much ambition because I helped plant the tulips. We put 500 in this year. And so as people drive by, they'll be able to see this beautiful riot of color. So again, trying to increase the beauty of our neighborhood as well as invite people in. So it's been a real pleasure doing all that, and I'm hoping we could work more with the city with those initiatives.
I just have one follow-up along the lines of Councilor Horton. So, where I often get nervous when I start to hear some of the dates, and I know we can't just, who is there, but always being cautious and aware of where we're spending money and elevating in names and protecting names if harm has been caused. So just making sure that as we're perhaps by certain families or individuals and not honoring and elevating others. And I know this is a challenge with all historic preservation, but just to make sure that as we are, I guess my ask would be as we are protecting, that we are making sure that we're telling whole truths, and that we're being inclusive in the preservation efforts as well too. I'm not insinuating that is what is happening, but more just of a request, like as we move forward, that we're making sure we're preserving and holding up all the histories of our city, because it is wide and it is diverse, and that is something I've often been fearful of when we do preservation. Is it tends to get concentrated in certain communities, in certain histories. And so that is just a request.
No, I appreciate that completely. And something that we have done in the past is on our notable tour, we have identified mainly wealthy white men. And we are moving away from that now and being more inclusive of our community as it stands. And that's been exciting, is to research the other people that participated so well. Yeah, that's something we're very, very aware of, and I appreciate your comments. And the one thing about Erie Cemetery is that it's always been a non-denominational space. And regardless of race, we've always included all, and we continue to do that in all of our cemeteries, and in particular Erie Cemetery. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Titus, thank you so very much. That's one of the things, but it might as well be out here in public. It's one of the things I would have asked offline, is because I don't care if someone's crypt or mausoleum falls into disrepair if they were a slaveholder, and if they were that, I have zero interest in preserving that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes, but in my research, I have not found one of those yet.
Great.
Those people were prior.
That's great, because we
Yes.
know that Erie has its, we're not, we're not this, we would be disingenuous to think that didn't happen here, when in fact, we know that it did.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dr. Titus.
Yes.
So I just want to ask a couple questions. I made a couple comments. With the landscaping of the cemetery, do you take volunteers to help out with that, or how does that?
We do.
Okay, because I work at Erie High School, and we have a really good landscaping department. So I don't know if you can give me a number. I could get our director in contact with you?
That would be great. It would be the same number that I gave Mr.
Can you repeat
Horton.
that to me?
Sure. 814
Okay.
459
4, 5,
2463.
4, 6, 3. Yeah, because I mean, that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
They could come around and help out. They also have welding and different things if you need different things like that. I'm sure they'd be glad to help. Also, just for the public, I know you said you were a registered arboretum.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means, just for the public?
Okay, to become an arboretum, you have to go through a process of identifying the trees. And so we've had an arborist walk through all 3 of our cemeteries, and you have to have a variety of trees. I think it's like 35 or so is the minimum, and we have at least that amount. When Erie Cemetery in particular was developed, it was called Cochran's Woods. Now, most of those trees over time have, of course, aged out. They all have a lifespan. So we identify the trees that we have. We offer a free arboretum tour every fall to the public, and we're in the process of hopefully developing a tree planting program to replace many of the trees that have since died over time. So we're a level 1 arboretum. Now, I believe something like Leaf in Frontier Park is a level 2 arboretum, where they have dedicated staff to their trees. They have identified all of their trees. We haven't gotten there yet. We're still in the business of serving families in other ways. But that is something we definitely want to develop for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had one quick comment. I grew up in Little Italy, so I'm well aware of the property there. And as you were talking about the tulips, it just brought me back to going through there as a child. And that was like one of my favorite things to do, is to see all of those tulips.
Yeah.
And then years later, they were gone. And I was very disappointed, so I'm very glad to hear that's coming back. And you're part of the Erie Cemetery Association.
Yes.
Okay. And I think the one you're speaking of on the east side is privately owned. And they were just sold a couple of years ago, and I know they've been having ongoing, yes, a lot of problems there, where the stones are, everything's overgrown, and so that might be, our code enforcement. I don't know if they're allowed in there or not. If it happens again, it would be something, because there's a lot of family.
I wasn't drawing the distinction between private or
Oh, no, I know.
thing. It's just her remark, just when she said that we have a lot of grass to cut and we're hoping to find grants.
Right,
and
right.
that just triggered my line of
Oh,
questioning.
yeah, no, I understand that. I'm just saying there's a difference between a privately owned and it's like if we don't cut our grass as a resident. I think that should come under the same thing, but that's something else we should look into. But I'm in favor of this. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to comment that I see the Erie Cemetery every day. I just bought a house in the neighborhood, so I just wanted to applaud the fact that I know that you guys take care of your cemetery and you guys provide a space for the community, because I see people walking their dogs, taking their kids on bike rides. I see people just gathering there in the spaces. I think they do their own private tours because there's always activity over there. So I just wanted to applaud the efforts that you guys all do take to keep the honor in our dead. So thank you.
Thank you. Sure. This is our director.
I believe you have to be sworn in, sir.
I'm sorry? Oh, I have to be sworn in? Yes. My name's David Rinderle. I'm the Executive Director of the Erie Cemetery Association. I just want to make one comment, as long as we're here, in regards to Lakeside Cemetery, which is the cemetery that you just referenced. We've been in discussions with the current ownership group about purchasing and taking over that cemetery. So We've had 2 board meetings on it. We'll probably have a third towards the end of this month and make a decision on whether we should go ahead and do that. Our personal view and my personal view of it is that it is very much a community asset that should be maintained. It is not being maintained. It's not really capable currently of accurately identifying and burying people in that cemetery.
Mr. Chair? May I just point of information, because I know this is a hearing and on the Erie Cemetery, so I prefer not to really talk about another one. And if you owned it, then I'd be all ears. But I don't think we should. I don't think you should.
That's
blend
fine.
that.
I just wanted to mention it as as an FYI.
Let's keep
'cause-
it on Erie Cemetery.
Sure, I got it. So, thank you.
I'm not sure if we're allowed to swear
Freda, you need to come up and be sworn in.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to comment, I heard something about 500 tulips or something like that. As a proponent of native vegetation, and as we're considering that this is a historic designation, maybe we should be looking at more how to use more of the appropriate native vegetation in our vegetated areas in the city, rather than bringing in bulbs that were grown possibly with a lot of chemicals and are not any historic part of the natural environment of North America, period. And since you mentioned it, Mr. Troop, I'd love to talk to you in the future about the landscaping program and how to instill some information in these new potential landscapers about how to promote native landscaping. Thank you.
Any other comment for the record? Okay.
Anyone else to offer testimony? Anyone else? Anyone else to speak about the public hearing? This concludes the public hearing. Thank you.
So I think this moves us to new business now.
Yes, Council President, this takes us to new business.
All right. I would ask council then for a motion and a second for moving the balance.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Flores, a second by Horton. Do we have any requests for separation? I would like to separate item number 2 and then items 6 through 14.
2, 6, 2 and 14.
2 and then 6 through
Oh.
14, yes. Any other separations by members of council? We have a motion and a second then to move the rest of the balance.
I'm still confused. Just 2 through 14?
2, just item 2, and then 6 through 14. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Can I separate 3?
Any other separations?
Can I just suggest real quick, the 6 through 14, they're all the same?
Yes. Yes.
So she shouldn't have to read
Yes.
each one individually?
Thank you. Okay, voting on moving the balance of the agenda. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. That resolution passes 6-0. Separated number 2, a resolution sponsored by Councilmember Titus, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf, that Erie City Council designates East 7th at East Avenue as Tamika Thurston Craig Way in honor after her passing as recognition of the heart of the Erie Center for Arts and Technology, also known as ECAT, and her legacy of service to her students and community. Discussion?
I just wanted to take a brief moment that it was genuinely an honor to be the person who got to put this forward. Tamika is bigger than words, and so I could stay up here all day, and I think we all could. To know Tamika was to know genuine love and to know genuine compassion, and so I'm very grateful that we get to have her name prominent, and that this is something that we as council could do.
Dr. Titus.
Yes.
I just want to echo your words. This made me smile today, and when I saw that it was on the agenda. Knew Tamika since we were elementary school students at the former Burton Elementary School. So I'm sure Mr. Myers, our principal, will be really happy to see this. Our families have been knowing each other for a long time. She was the smile that you guys, everybody knows. It's been the same smile that's been there since we were little kids. So she was always a joy to be around and a great person. So I'm really happy to see this for her and her family.
Dr. Titus?
Yes.
I've known, I grew up with Tamika's uncle and her father, her uncles and her father. But I didn't really get to know Tamika until we were at the same ministry, Abundant Life Ministries International, on the corner of 8th and Parade. Tamika's twins are my godchildren. Tamika's husband and I have been friends for probably 40 years. We served in that ministry together. We developed a group, a nonviolence initiative, that later grew into the Blue Coats. But Tamika was always the muscle behind that. I mean, we got out and did the work, but administratively and encouragement-wise, Tamika fueled our efforts. We didn't start out with a nonviolence initiative. We started out with an after-school program. Just to know Tamika and to know that she's gone, it really leaves a void, not just in my life, but my children and my family as well. So to see this on the agenda, to say that it warmed my heart would be an understatement. The thing I remember most about Tamika is not just her infectious smile, but Tamika had the most sincere, genuine, she had the best hugs. She hugged me so tight one time she bruised my rib. She literally cracked my rib. And she'll be missed. And so to her children, her legacy, and certainly her rib, her husband, my friend Daryl, we honor you, your wife and your mother, and her sisters. We honor her in this little small token of appreciation. This is just a small thing, but it's really, really one that's really heartfelt and meaningful. And Dr. Titus, I am so appreciative of you putting this forward. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Voting on the resolution. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. This resolution passes yea 6, nay 0. The following separations, there's 9 repository sales that are offered at a bid of 200.
We have to do number
3.
3, Lori.
Number
I asked to
number
separate 3.
I'm sorry, it was stuck. Okay, this is sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Flores, that Erie City Council, receiving the communication from the City Planning Commission and pursuant to Section 306 of the City of Erie zoning ordinance, the city clerk is authorized and directed to advertise notice of a public hearing to be held before council on Wednesday, March 4th at approximately 9:30 a.m. in City Council Chambers, 626 State Street, to consider testimony regarding the request for waterfront conditional use submitted by Weber Murphy Fox on behalf of Scott Enterprises for the construction of a new 8-story hotel containing 139 guest rooms, 3 restaurants and bars located at East Front Street in a waterfront commercial zoning district. Discussion?
I would like to start my comments with the fact that with the water front conditional use, City Council has a little bit more say in scrutiny that we can have as far as the access of community vision being stripped away. As somebody who goes down to the Bayfront quite often, you can see where all the new development is taking away the view of the water and the landscape that's down there. I know that we've had discussions on addressing provisions to address birds, dark sky protection, glass and light, and then the fact that it's 8 stories high down there on the water. I know that we have a lot of community members who reach out and ask constantly, why do the Scotts continue to get grant money to build hotels on the water when there are other attractions that they want to go down there? It comes down to who can access the funds, but ultimately I just know with the waterfront conditional use, City Council has a little bit more teeth that we can use, and appointing good people on these boards and authorities is very important, because sometimes we just want to put people there because we know them, and that might not be the best thing to do for the needs of the community, to advocate for, simple vision. Once a building's there, your vision is obstructed. So I just wanted to note that. And a hotel's great for now, but if we don't have our community able to see the water, what's the point?
Dr. Titus?
Yes.
Jasmine, thank you for separating that out. I grew up at the foot of Sassafras Street. My prior position over here actually required that I was the representative for everything that ran along that bayfront for the county. Before I got there, it had already been balkanized and portioned off. I've watched that development from a perspective that very few have, in that I worked as a union laborer on just about every leg of that Bayfront Highway. I was steward down there for a couple of them projects. I tore the asbestos out down there along the tracks. I worked from West 26th Street all the way back up around Penn State Barron. And I watched the people on that bluff not be considered for all of that time. I moved on the East Bluffs across from where you grew up at. I watched the people on that side of time not be considered. The RACP funding, all of the designations that require us or that would allow us to help development, because we want to help development. I don't know if we want to pay 1/4 of their development costs. I'm not sure what the alert of all of that or how that's panning out, but I know that there's nothing blighted below the bay below State Street. Below 2nd Street. There's nothing blighted there, and they've used that law to access grants, and we haven't gotten anything for it. So for over a decade, I've been asking for community benefit agreements. If we're going to give it to them, we ought to get something for it instead of just take. I've watched all the fishing spots be, oh, sure, you got access, you can go down there, you can do whatever. Grew up on that doggone. My grandmother used to clean the bathrooms down there when it was the dock. Our clerk's father used to ride me around on his boat, the little toot, while she cleaned the bathrooms in the 60s, which wasn't always a great job for a black person in that environment. But we ought to get something. I watched it go from the Niagara Motel, Scott's first property, and I don't want to talk because it ain't about the Scotts, it's about development and developers. I watched all the development around the park, North Park Road, watched it go on for 2-3 years. I can tell you, I don't think I've seen 3 black people work on that job. I don't think I've seen Latino people work on it. I don't think I've seen women work on that job. But what I have seen, and I've seen it for 30-something years, is people come in from outside of our community, they rent an Airbnb, a house, they pack 10 of them in a house, and they work 14, 15, 16, and they take their money home with them. And so, yeah, this should be separated out. My final question would be, because I don't know how this works and how these hearing dates and times are arrived at, but I know that 9:30 in the morning for a hearing will probably look a lot different at 6:30 in the evening. I don't think people can come out here and even have a fair one to say anything at 9:30 in the morning. Most people who would say something's at work or at school, trying to pay their taxes, and we're giving it away. And so, yeah, we should separate this out, and we should advertise, and we should let people know that we're having this hearing at 9:30 and not just let it be a routine posting in the paper about stuff that's going to affect our community long after we're gone. My grandkids.
Could there be a friendly amendment made?
I was thinking the same thing. You guys, as we've amended other stuff, if you agree to make a motion to amend the resolution, and then probably what I would do then is probably, because this is subject to availability and everything, then make the motion that the city clerk work with the planning department and schedule it in the evening.
I move for a friendly amendment.
I'll second that.
That we reschedule this time for an evening meeting or session to involve more civic engagement.
I'll second that.
The only food for thought, you brought up labor and different elements coming from out of town. The city did pass a responsible contractor ordinance, I believe it was the middle of last year. So when at the public hearing, if you have questions about them complying with it, or if their project is subject to it, that would be a good time to ask them those questions.
To that point, my father used to be the president of Labor's Local 603. At one point, that hall was 60% black. Probably don't have 5 blacks in there now. But I've worked on my share project labor agreements. I've served on that board in a number of capacities and stuff. And the 10% responsible, they never hit it because we don't have that type of contractor base here. And they've locked us out of so many unions. Now they're recruiting. We've been locked out for so many years. And so, at the very least, the community benefit agreement would not just be it would be for the entire community. We ought to get something, training dollars, scholarships, we ought to get something. Because I'm sure every business in the city of Erie wouldn't mind having 1/4 of their project paid for. So, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
It's been properly moved and seconded. So.
We call for the vote on the motion on the floor.
Council President, I believe this would be pending upon availability of a court reporter.
So would the amendment be that pending on availability, but it will be in an evening session? So we don't necessarily have to pick the date right now, just that it will be an evening.
I think just keep it simple, that you're amending it from March 4th at 9:30 in the morning to a future evening meeting when it can be scheduled.
Thank you.
Okay, voting on the resolution as amended. Members Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. Resolution passes yea 6, nay 0 as amended. Okay, now we have 9 repository sales that are offered for $250. It is the same bidder from,
Is it okay if I interject before we? So normally we vote on things individually, so I think I would like you guys to have an agreement that you are all agreeing to vote on 6 through 14 at the same time if you want to. I mean, it's up to you as the body, it's up to you guys. So I think you need to probably do a quick motion to say we're going to vote on.
I thought
all
that
of
already
those.
occurred.
Well, it was not through a vote, though, it was through a commentary.
Gotcha.
A little bit different.
We'll call for a motion.
Okay, Hell motion.
I'll second.
We do a quick vote on that.
Thank you.
okay, hang on. 6 through 14. Okay, voting on the motion to vote for items 6 through 14 collectively. Member Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, Troop, and Titus. Resolution passes.
And then, not to interject again, remember, you're voting on whether or not you believe the person who gave the presentation to you or that organization that she represents has the ability to carry out what they said they were going to do. So you take into consideration what she told you. Also, there was supposed to be some follow-up with some additional information and pictures. To the best of our knowledge, that was not provided. So it's based on whether they can, you feel that you've been persuaded whether they can take care of the property, then you would vote yes. If you feel that they cannot take care of the properties as described, then you would vote no.
Dr. Titus, apropos to our solicitor's comments, I think that there also is, do they meet the requirements? And I'm not sure that they do. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can we call for the vote?
Voting on resolution 6 through 14. Members Flores.
No.
Horton,
No.
Pohl,
No.
Schaaf,
No.
Troop,
No.
and Titus.
No.
Resolution fails 0 to 6. Okay, I think that I am out of anything separated, so we can move on to committee reports.
Okay. Counselor Horton, would you be okay with starting with the committee reports?
Absolutely.
Just, and then before we go, just to be mindful to everyone that I'll have Lori, if you wouldn't mind, with the timer, because it helped us last time to keep us all in that 5-minute range. Thank you.
Took some notes. Thank you, Dr. Titus, and I'll try to be brief. I'd like to acknowledge he was here for a moment and he left, and that would be Mr. Snipper from the Redevelopment Authority. But in the land bank, I attended the meeting. They said that they had a moratorium on sales until they're able to clean up the lien and title process to clear everything off of properties. And that hadn't always taken place. Mainly the utilities. If you have a water bill or a gas bill or something, even though the property liens, those bills follow the property, and so they're still trying to clean up that process. They put another Locust Street location back on the market. East 26th Street, they had a property there. Again, they're trying to clean up the utilities there, but they've budgeted to purchase 4 to 6 properties this year through condemnation and acquisitions. I'm scheduled to meet with Mr. Snipper on Friday just to understand a little bit more about the land bank. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve in the report on that.
Counselor Schaaf?
Thank you, Dr. Titus. Marilyn and I met with Hunter Lytle in his new role and talked about the upcoming plans that he has working with other people, like the America 250 celebration. So he seems very organized and ready to work with CAFE. I attended a retreat at Camp Glenodo put on by Benedictine Sister Ann McCarthy, and I always feel that in our busy life, retreat and getaway time for re-energizing yourself is very important. Today is World Cancer Day and Rosa Parks Day, and I'm sure, hopefully, everyone is aware of what Rosa Parks did. There are wonderful children's books about her for people who are interested in passing her message on. I remember as a kindergarten teacher and elementary teacher, excellent stories of her life and the progress that she made. We have a Heart Healthy event in our city coming up this Friday at the Sheraton that is going on in the morning that I plan to attend and never was able to because of my teaching schedule. So it's good that we can learn and take care of ourselves. As everyone knows, your heart is a vital organ, and we need to keep ourselves healthy. I did the Towin Review Board this past week, and the other day I was walking in with a gentleman who was going to pay a parking ticket, and he wasn't happy. We need to, I think, do better placement or more placement with our signs, and maybe have a teaching session for seniors and people who don't know how to use the app. Last week was Catholic Schools Week. I spent over 40 years of my teaching career at St. James, a near and dear school to my heart that welcomes diverse students and a good education. There's always nice traditions that are carried on through the school as well that the Sisters of the Divine Spirit had many years ago. I also talked with people from the Presque Isle Audubon Society, and thank you, Jasmine, for putting that out. Because of the president had notified me that she would like to come and speak to testify, we need to think of our birds and that there's special windows and glass that can be purchased to, like, so birds don't commit suicide when they're flying, and the lighting situations, as Jasmine said, with dark sky. Migratory birds, I think sometimes people don't realize how important birds are in our livelihood, and as a bird watcher, my husband has taught me a lot about birds that I was not familiar with. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flores?
I just wanted to comment that last Monday, the EMTA had their monthly meeting. I know the EMTA, the Erie Metro Bus Service, is currently doing a survey for their fixed and scheduled routes. They would like the community to please fill out the survey. You can find the survey link on their Facebook page or probably even the website. I just know that I think it's going until the end of the month, no? The 14th of February. So if you have time, please check out the EMTA survey, because as someone who used to ride the bus, it is very hard to use the bus for your day-to-day travels back and forth to work, especially if you work on Sundays, because our bus service does not operate on Sundays. So we definitely need to make sure we're speaking up for the community members that use these services to get to and from, and some employers do not have set schedules Monday through Friday. So the fact that our public transportation and we don't have a yellow cab makes getting to work on a Sunday very hard for our community. So I would really, really appreciate if you can go online and do that survey and advocate for those of us who might not know that this survey is available. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor True?
Thanks, Dr. Titus. I attended the EMTA Zoom, their board meeting through Zoom, and it was individual gave an interesting presentation, which is probably online. You could probably access it, kind of doing like an audit of all the services that they provide and the rides and the efficiency and things like that. Did find out, I believe, that a lot of the rides are going, a lot of people are catching buses to places of education and places of employment, so that's a good thing. Also reached out to my other committee assignments, and I got one response from the Redevelopment Authority, so I'm going to read that to you. It says the Redevelopment Authority is actively accepting applications for 3 programs: the Lead Hazard Control Program, the Healthy Homes Program, and the Accessory Structure Demolition Program. These programs serve income-qualified, owner-occupied households in the city of Erie. Applications are available at any time. We also provide in-person assistance at the UPMC Neighborhood Center every Tuesday and at City Hall on the 3rd Wednesday of each month until 8 p.m. during evening city council meetings. In 2025, the authority completed 98 housing rehabilitation projects representing a $1.7 million investment in stabilizing neighborhoods. We are also actively prioritizing a list of blighted property acquisitions for the Redevelopment Authority and Erie Land Bank to support targeted neighborhood revitalization efforts. Demand remains strong as this work continues into 2026. Also, a couple more things I wanted to mention what Freda was talking about in pedestrian access. I was in a meeting at Erie High School, and there was a parent there, and they asked the parent, like, what are some of the concerns with some of the students? And she said that some of the big things that she hears from students is that sidewalks aren't cleared and that they have to walk in the street. So that's kind of goes along with what she was saying. Also wanted to mention, I know Councilman Horton mentioned Black History Month, so I'm just going to give a little bit about that. Black History Month was actually started by Carter G. Woodson. In 1926, he started efforts because he believed that if you teach people, like if they're educated about the good things about their race or their group of people, that they will strive to achieve more if they know about the good things. I'm going to read one of his quotes. It says, what we need is not a history of selected races, nations, but the history of the world void of national bias, race hate, and religious prejudice. And his quote kind of reminds me, I've read a lot about Frederick Douglass. Something probably people might not know is like, our history is intertwined. I know it's called Black History Month, but actually when Frederick was escaping slavery, several of the homes that he stayed in were actually white families that housed him and kept him. I believe his name was Frederick Bailey, and one of the white families' last name was Johnson, actually gave him the last name Doug. He asked them to help name them. Changed his last name, basically. And he suggested Douglas, so that's how that came about. Also wanted to shout out our streets department and the garbage, the refuge. They're doing a great job. And on a personal note, I just wanted to let you guys know that I am hosting an event on Valentine's Day. It's going to be at the Siebenberger Club. It's going to benefit our local Shriners Hospital for Children. So if you're interested, you can call or text me on my city council phone. It's 814-449-9682. Help us support the great work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pohl?
Good morning. With the snow, January seemed to be very long. But once I got my liaison committees, it flew. I toured the library and saw how they're going to redo the children's section. It's going to be it's a good project. It's going to be awesome for these kids. If anybody can go down and look at, they should still have the boards up.
The outside area will be nice.
Yes, outside area. They said they're going to start it like March. It should be done by July with an outside area for special events. I attended the O&E Pension Board meeting on Zoom. And, excuse me, I attended the Port Authority meeting last week. They had a representative speaking about the Erie Coke plant site, that they want to build a naval shipyard building. I don't know. It's just in the beginning listening stages, so we all know that that's a big property and it could be developed in other ways, however the port chooses. In the end, there's a lot of cleanup to be done before anything happens. So looking forward to speaking about that in the future. And they also spoke in the regular meeting about the America 250 that they're planning, along with other authorities in the city or the county. It should be a very good event. They're planning on fireworks at some point, and it'll be fun for everyone. I attended the Environmental Advisory Council, and just a lot of insight on what your normal person or normal resident doesn't know from the other side. Until you sit in a meeting, and most meetings are open to the public, and everyone's welcome to either listen on Zoom or Facebook or come in person. And I'm also attending the PML training. It's a 4-week session, 3 hours, and that's also on Zoom for new council people. Andre, along with me, is attending it, and it's very interesting. Hope to learn a lot from them. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to start with just a quick thank you to my colleagues. And I think that I want the public to be aware of this too. I am deeply impressed by my colleagues' commitment to being more open and more transparent. And I know we have shifted things, but the way that everyone up on here has not only embraced but been excited about finding new ways to make sure the public understand what is happening, and to not be afraid to like maybe fumble forward with some of these things. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for all the work that we are putting in. We all met with the administration and have, I think, really opened the lines of communication about being more accessible and making sure that information is getting out to the public in an accessible way. I am excited about some of the updates that we're going to see with the website, including a social media part where all of the council members will be a part of an update. It is going to be the third Wednesday, so the Wednesday before our evening meetings. You'll see the different faces of councilors talking about what to expect at that meeting, which I think is a great partnership there. We'll have a water reserve meeting next week. I believe it's next Monday, where we'll go over that account. I do want to, again, go over some of the rules of council that you're seeing. I know it's going to be on the agenda quite a bit here for a minute. Most of this is codifying what we already do, but I think that we are planning for a council that might not exist, so that it exists once we create all this transparency long after our time here. And so I know this will be on, and you'll keep seeing, amending the rules of council, but that is because we want to codify what we are doing so that we're making this as most transparent as we can. I would like to, I think, publicly ask my colleagues and the clerk to help. We've received a lot of complaints about the Erie Parking Authority, so I think that that would be a great use of one of our study sessions, is to kind of bring them in and to go over and just see what is happening. So we already have a plan for this month's, but maybe one of the upcoming following ones. I think that would be a great use of our time. And then perhaps a presentation at one of our meetings from the Erie Downtown Partnership. That's another one that I've been getting a lot of questions on, but I think we can go over that one in a presentation. And I know we're already exhausted and still exhausted, but it is time for petition circulation to start in a few weeks for our upcoming election this year. So we have every year we vote in May and in November. And just to make sure that I use every platform I can, that voters and our community members understand that as a Commonwealth, Pennsylvania is a closed primary state. That means in order to participate in the May primary, you have to be either a registered Democrat or a registered Republican. You cannot vote if you are a registered member of any other party until the general election, which means that much of your decisions are determined for you and you won't get to participate. So, unfortunately, being a closed primary state, you need to be either a registered Democrat or a registered Republican so that you can pick your candidates when we go into the primary. Petitions will start circulating here, I think, in 3 weeks, maybe even sooner. We will have state representatives, we will have committee members for the Republican and the Democratic Party, and we will also have a governor and some other races. So this is a big year. The even numbers are our state races, and our federal races, so make sure we're paying attention and staying attuned there. And also, we've received many calls, and we talked a little bit about this in caucus. Please be mindful of the way we are engaging as activists and people who are protecting our neighbors. We know that there is presence of ICE in Erie. We are working actively on an intentional and inclusive plan that is including the voices of those directly impacted, as well as the citizens who are involved. It is well within a citizen's right to document and to be transparent, but what I'm asking is, if we are going to do that, that you please participate in one of the trainings so that you know your rights, so that things don't get escalated, and that everybody involved remains safe, and that we can protect our neighbors in a way that is thoughtful and intentional. There is a rapid response team. The trainings are free if you would like to participate. I believe it's through Erie County United. So if that is something that you are compelled to do, please have the training so that you know your rights and that we are doing it safely in a way that protects people. All of that being said, I will wrap up my part of it, and we will ask the controller, do you have a report?
I do. Thank you, Dr. Titus. I just made a few notes, but I just want to let everyone know there's a lot going on in the controller's office right now. And we're doing a tremendous amount of research on the various topics that affect our office. That's what I've been doing when I'm not going to meetings, and researching pensions and researching all different aspects of what goes on in city government, so that we truly have an understanding of the role of our office in the city. And we will be meeting with department heads one by one to also discuss the role of the controller with them. And hopefully that will increase the communication between our office and the different departments. And it will also increase our transparency and accountability to those people that we serve. And so we can translate that by taking back to the taxpayers who we do answer to, that we have done our best to educate every department here on our role, their role, what we can do for them, what we need from them, so that we have good communication skills. And just want to let everyone know, I will be attending a knowledge breakfast on the future of Erie County in the upcoming weeks, and we're excited about that as well. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Before I come to this table, I completely forgot to mention the study session change. So we will be doing study sessions as a council the second Thursday of the month. And again, this is to make sure that we're being more cohesive and not holding every Tuesday and Thursday and keeping all the counselor schedules captive, but trying to be respectful and mindful of everyone's time. And that's also why we've increased that caucus time from 30 minutes in the evening to an hour. So we're trying to make it more accessible for the public, but also fair for the electeds. Now we'll go administration or solicitor. You guys can duke out who wants to go first.
My comments are very quick. A study session on the parking authority and getting information out to the public for really everybody is a great idea. And revising that part of our ordinance is something that I think is needed, and I actually would hope that maybe we get some good communication ideas of what we could come out of that meeting. So I think that's a good idea. Otherwise, I have nothing else to report.
It would be my question then.
Yeah.
A study session I think is a great idea, but which I want. That doesn't really allow opportunity, though, for the public to give commentary back, because that's more of an internal dialogue. So maybe we think about either a community conversation or something around this topic where we can engage, but just to make sure that we're creating opportunity for public to give their input back in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Titus. I was going to put my timer on, but I assume that you will. A couple updates. I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C. last week. I noted on the news they did a terrible job of snow removal, not anywhere near as good as our guys. So, but during the sessions there, I heard a lot of sessions about microtransit. Councilman Flores, I think you'd be interested in that. Also, federal tools for housing development, some immigration updates. So really good use of time. I was really happy to be there with all these mayors from around the entire country, bipartisan, to talk about issues that face us. Also want to note, as all of you know, we are meeting together in small group sessions with each of you to talk about our social media policy. We did have a good, robust conversation today at caucus about that, and also about our ICE policies and procedures. So I've met with Ms. Schaaf and Ms. Pohl so far. I'm going to get to the rest of you and then hope to come back to council with an update of what I heard that will hopefully inform our decisions moving forward. I did want to note, I have already met with the Erie Waterworks and the Parking Authority, and one way that we might be able to have the conversation, Dr. Titus, we will be bringing to council at some point an agreement with the Parking Authority. This is something that was on my list. We don't have a signed agreement with them and have not since 2020. So as we work through that agreement, it would come to council, be a great time to have public input and public conversation. So we agree there needs to be more conversation there. I attended the governor's budget address yesterday in Harrisburg. A couple notes from that. If you didn't notice or you didn't see it on social media, Captain Tommy Lennox was recognized personally by the governor, actually participated in the press conference in the morning. He was named in the speech. It was really wonderful, very proud moment for me. I should note there were a huge contingent of us from Erie. So I traveled to the address with the county executive, with members from the Erie Chamber and Infinite Erie. So we really showed great unity and presence in Harrisburg, and I think it was wonderful. I think it was noted in Harrisburg that we were really showing up together. If you didn't see the governor's budget, there was a lot of funding for housing in there. We're waiting for details on that. After school programs, review of zoning and municipal planning, which is something I think on a lot of our minds, more funding for public education, which is important to all of us, and for apprenticeships. So really strong. We'll see where it goes from here. Obviously just a starting point between the governor and the legislature. I did want to reply to some things that Freda had noted. After last council meeting, I did speak with Public Works about this issue of sidewalks, and we agree residential ticketing is tough, and I don't think that's something we want to get into right now, but commercial is real, and that does go through engineering and Public Works. So it was suggested to me that if folks do see blocked sidewalks, they should call the Citizen Response Center. That's 870-1111. And as soon as we get those complaints, our engineering department does go out and check them. So just want to say, if you're seeing them, that's how to report them, and our engineering department will go out and make sure that we are taking a look at this. It's on our minds as well. The specific address of where it's happening. Agree. Yes, thank you, Freda. One note too, conversation today about the Scott Enterprises project. There will be news in the coming weeks about a Bayfront master plan. I did mention this to Ms. Schaaf and Ms. Pohl. I have advocated strongly for a master plan for our Bayfront that is community-driven. So we have, in working with the CRIZ Authority, with the Port Authority, the Scots, and the Convention Center Authority, a consultant has been engaged, not costing the city a dime, but a consultant has been engaged to work on a community-driven Bayfront master plan. So that will be announced in the next few weeks, and this will be the public's opportunity to talk about what it wants to see, in addition to what our private landowners down there are going to do. I think this is how we get the Bayfront that we all deserve. So more to come on that, but that is already underway. I want to acknowledge Black History Month, as has been noted. Next week, beginning on Monday, there will be a display in the lobby of City Hall from the Institute of Culture and the African American Experience that's operated and owned by Bishop Jones and his wife. We're going to have a little display here in the lobby so that folks can come and see, and we have kind of a living representation of Black History Month, so look for that. America 250 was noted here. Just so everyone is aware, our full schedule will be announced on April 14th, Erie's Incorporation Day. We'll have a special press conference on April 14th that will announce all of our America 250 events, as Ms. Pohl has noted, fireworks, concerts, all of that to come. So look for that on April 14th. And I think, lastly, I just want to say thank you to you, Dr. Titus, and to Council, as has been noted, for the recognition of Tamika Craig. As I noted in caucus, Tamika was very special to me. When she worked for me at ECAT and I decided to run for mayor, she said, "You're going to leave?" And I said, "No, you know, if we win, you'll go with us." And so in her last days, Tamika and I had a conversation that she, of course, is with us. So I really appreciate the fact that you honored that and that she'll be memorialized there. It's special to me, as I know to all of you. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. We're going to continue to be working hard, having more conversations with each of you to keep that transparency and communication going. Appreciate all of your effort and cooperation. Thank you.
All right, I believe this concludes our city council meeting.
City Council adjourns at 10:47 a.m. Members Titus, Flores, Horton, Pohl, Schaaf, and Troop.